Countyfairgrounds USA, countyfairgrounds.net. Welcome to today's podcast.
Do I have Jeremy Telford, the Balloon Guy Entertainment, on the line with me?
You do indeed.
Hi, Mr. Jeremy. How are you today?
Oh, you know, I'm getting along.
Okay, so you do something kind of unique. There's a lot of balloon twisters and balloon blowers out there, but you make like sculptures. How did you ever get started in that?
Well, my brother-in-law taught me how to do balloons at restaurants originally, played for my college degree. And so I did that for quite a while. And he went to a convention and took a class on how to get more birthday parties. And the birthday party class suggested that you pre-make a more complicated balloon for the birthday person. All the other kids at the party see it and say, "Oh, I want one like that." And they talk to their parents and they have you come do their birthday parties. And so he told me about it and I went, "Oh, that would be fun." And so the next birthday party I did, I made a 6-foot aerial, which is I think more than they actually meant, but I loved it so much that I started making larger and larger stuff.
I guess you make larger stuff. You hold the world's records in this. How did that happen?
Well, there's in Utah, in Lehigh, there's a place called Thanksgiving Point. They have a dinosaur museum and a butterfly biosphere and such. And I do a lot of large sculptures for them. And one year, I actually did a museum exhibit where I built the wonders of the world, like 14 to 18 foot tall by 25 to 30 foot wide, different structures, Chichen Itza, Taj Mahal, the ancient and modern wonders of the world. They were also kind of celebrating their Founders Day. And I'd always wanted to do a Guinness World Record, and they had the space, and so we kind of made a mutual decision to go for it. And 80 hours, 6 days, and one giant balloon dog later, broke the world record.
Wow. I have to tell you, I'm impressed. So I have to ask this question. Now I'm curious as hell. Have you ever done anything else besides this?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, did I have
a career?
Oh, as a career. You know what? I've held other jobs, but as a career, actually, no. Because I did it originally to get through college, but I loved it so much that I switched my degree to recreation management, which was the closest fit I could find for what I did.
Yeah.
And then I made it into a business.
So your kids must love you.
Oh, you know, I was better when they were younger, and I used to build them a large one on their birthday and all that sort of stuff. Things have gotten so kind of hectic now that they have to kind of put up with whatever they get. But they do for their school birthdays. We don't do cupcakes or treats. I do make they tell me what designs they want, and I make 30 balloons for their classmates.
So I have to ask, how old are they? I'm curious.
So I have 5 kids. The oldest is 16, then 14, then 11, and then 7, almost 8, and then 2.
You do these balloon sculptures in other places besides Utah, right?
The farthest I've traveled is Dubai, out in the United Arab Emirates.
Wow.
And I've done down in Uruguay. I did a television commercial down there, but it's mostly in Utah and the western U.S.
So what happens exactly? They say, like, for a county fair, how does it work? Can you explain it?
Yeah. So basically the only requirements is I need indoor space because the balloons in outdoors just do not react very well. And so access to power for my motorized pump. And what I do is I start building a large, usually themed sculpture with whatever the fair wants. A lot of times I go off of what their theme is. And I spend days building a giant sculpture. And it works kind of on the same way as the sand sculptures, where people will keep coming back to see the progress on the sculpture. Mm-hmm. And then when the sculpture's all done, if the fair allows, then as I take it down, I hand parts of the sculpture out to the kids. So someone will head home with like a life-size farmer, and I usually try and make enough little pieces like vegetables and stuff that everybody gets something to take with them.
You must be a real draw at a county fair, I would think.
I seem to be well received, and I have a ton of fun doing it.
So, state fairs? Have you done state fairs?
I'm trying to think. I've actually, so far, I've just done county fairs. I've had interest. I might be doing a state fair this year, but I hesitate to say because it's not finalized. So. Okay.
All right. So what is one of the best experiences you remember?
I've had a lot of really good experiences with it. As far as just experiences go, I love the Richland County Fair up in Sydney, Montana. I've done stuff for them multiple times, and they're just a joy to work with. And I've done everything from like an old Chevy truck with a farmer. This last year, or actually this year, they did their centennial, and I built a scene which was half modern and in color with a modern John Deere tractor and modern dressed farmer, and that, and on the other side was all done in black and whites and grays, and it was the 1920s scene of an old style tractor, farmer dressed in older clothes, and they were shaking hands across the border. So it was a fun sculpture to build.
Okay, so do you use a special type of balloon or just regular balloons?
So there's certain brands that I prefer over others. Like your dollar store or Walmart brand balloons typically will not hold up. Mm-hmm. And then I have ones that have different diameters. So they're kind of like your balloon animal balloons, the ones you think of making dogs out of. But I have ones that have a 6-inch diameter, ones that have a 3-inch, 2-inch, and 1-inch. And that just helps me like fill in large areas and also go down to doing fine detail.
One of the questions I just thought of is what are you blowing them up with? I mean, you're not physically blowing them up.
No. 4 days, 8 hours a day, I would be in the hospital after each fair. I have, for the larger balloons, I have a motorized pump, which you can actually program it to tell it how long to put air into it, so you get each balloon exactly the same size when you want to build a wall or something. It doesn't work for the smaller balloons because it requires a little more force to get them to blow up. And for that, I have a floor pump. I don't do it with my mouth.
About it. So keep going. Tell me more about your balloons.
So yeah, and then I do use some round balloons as needed. Round balloons work well for trees and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
And I understand. Okay. All right. So how many years have you been making a living doing this?
So about 18 and a half years now. It's easy for me to remember because I basically started around the time my wife and I got married. So I just have to think about how many anniversaries we've had.
What does she think of it?
Well, let me put it this way. My wife and I met each other at the juggling club in college.
Ah, okay.
So she's on board.
Okay, all right. Do you know of other people, who do what you do?
I do, actually. I know Larry Moss out east is pretty famous in the balloon circle for doing large sculptures. I'm pretty much the only one that does it like I do it here in Utah. But I know out in California there's a couple that can do large sculptures. But yeah, it's kind of a niche thing, and I don't know very many people that have offered their services to fairs. A lot of times they do it for decor stuff for corporate events or for business openings and that sort of thing.
Well, I would imagine you do those too, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I will do any family-friendly event. As long as I can show my kids, the pictures of the balloons I've made, then I'll do it.
Well, your kids must really like this. I mean, how many dads do what you do?
Well, it was fun because when I broke the world record, the picture they ended up putting in the book has me with my whole family. So they're all in the Guinness World Record book too. Even if they didn't get the record, they're in the book. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Do any of your kids have an interest in continuing and doing this?
Yeah, actually, the sculpture I talked about last up in Sydney, I took my eldest to my 16 and 14-year-old, and they actually helped me build it. So
cool.
When I can, I'm going to start taking them around because if they've got the interest. My wife and I basically said when we started is we were going to force them to, but if they showed an interest, we definitely support it.
Okay, so what have you got coming up where people can find you?
I've still got another fair conference to go to, so I may have more, but right now I have at least the fair up in Downey, Idaho in the beginning of August. We don't know what we're building yet, but we're brainstorming. And then Twin Falls, the fair up there in Twin Falls, Idaho, I'll be building for 5 days, which is a good amount of time. I should be able to build something pretty amazing up there. I
have to ask. I always ask, well, were there any bad experiences?
No, I'm definitely doing balloons. I've had bad experiences. I'm trying to think if doing a fair I've ever had a bad experience. And I'll be honest, I don't think I have, actually.
Well, you don't have to sweat it. I mean, if you can't think of one, that's great.
No, I mean, there's ones I've liked more than others. I mean, I've done line work before where you build and hand out to kids, which is fun, but it's kind of, it's a little bit more grueling. I like the creativity of building large ones. But like with the Downey Fair I'm going to be doing a day and a half of building large stuff, and then I'm going to be doing the last part of it, build stuff for kids. But yeah, I mean, I haven't ever had a fair experience that I just I don't want to ever do that again.
Well, that's good. I'm kind of jealous. It sounds like you got a great career. Okay, so now tell people how they reach you if they're interested in working with you.
For my fair bookings, I go through Marcus, who owns the world's funnest productions company.
It's that Marcus Entertainment Company. So that's how you prefer people contact you?
Marcus for fairs, for my regular gigs, my corporate and the stuff that I get for myself. I do I don't always go through an agent, but I've kind of decided with the fairs I'd always go through him just because he's helped me out so much with that.
But you want to give people your website then?
Yes, definitely. My website is balloonguyentertainment.com.
And I would imagine there's lots of images there, and they can contact you through there too also, right?
Indeed, they can.
Well, okay, Jeremy, I hope you feel better. All right. And I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.